Hey, if I had a photo of you in Mexico, would you say it wasn't you?
I'd have to see the photo then.
I don't have it.
So it's a hypothetical. So you guys can lie to me, but I can't lie to you.
Correct.
That seems fucked up.
Today we are taking a deep dive into the latest trailer for episode 4 of season 3 of Euphoria. After episode 3 left us with seeing Nate lose a toe, Rue gets pulled over by the DEA, and witnessing one of the most cringe weddings on television, we're left wondering, where does the story go from here? Now, based on this trailer that we're about to break down, looks like Cassie has moved out, Rue is forced to tell the truth, and Lori's getting her revenge after losing her bird. There's a lot to break down, so with that said, spoiler warning for the previous episodes alongside with my theories and predictions based on this trailer. Now, at the time of this recording, there's no synopsis for the episode, but the title for this 4th episode is Kitty Likes to Dance, so knowing Euphoria, that could have many different meanings. Now, we open this trailer with Rue in the back of the DEA car into her being in their custody being interrogated. They test Rue's ability to lying or telling the truth about having a photo of her in Mexico, which they claim they don't have. Rue says that it must be a hypothetical, but there it is, a photo of her in Mexico, meaning that they can lie to her, but she can't lie to them. Now, I mentioned in my last breakdown that I would imagine that Rue will probably be offered a deal. That deal being go to jail for her involvement for being a drug mule for Lori, or become an informant for the DEA and help them take down both Lori and Alamo's operations to either avoid jail time or maybe lessen a possible sentence. Now the question is, what exactly does the DEA have on Rue so far? Is it just her being a drug mule and that stuff with Lori, or is it the dealings that she has with Alamo, her being an arms dealer, the missing of a stripper, and all the different stuff that she's incorporated with working with him so far? Also, I do wonder if maybe Rue reached out to Jules about asking for her nylon-licking lawyer client Rick to represent her as a lawyer. Next, we see Lexi calling Jules about a real cool opportunity, which leads to Lexi and Jules on the studio lot and Lexi introducing Jules to her producer boss, Patty Lance. Now, what exactly led Lexi to reaching out to Jules to begin with? Now, at the wedding, we saw these two having a brief conversation about marriage and how Lexi is still a virgin, but there was actually a scene that was possibly cut out, or a scene that will be in this episode to give us more of them bonding and may have led to Lexi reaching out for this cool opportunity. As you all can see from this photo here, this comes from the main official trailer for Euphoria that came out a couple months ago, and you can see it's Lexi introducing herself to a table of men, but she seems to be focused on one guy in particular. Now again, this wasn't in the wedding episode, so it may have been left on a cutting room floor, or again, we might see this scene in episode 4 and it will maybe show Jules giving Lexi some tips on approaching someone she's interested in and putting herself out there, and we see her doing that, and that again creating this bond between Lexi and Jules, and that could have led to her reaching out to her and them maybe being friends. Now the next shot shows Jules on the set and she's painting. So is this the opportunity to providing like set pieces, like original art pieces for the show that Patty produces, or is Jules playing a character as a painter in the show? Either way, we get more of Jules on set later on in this trailer that we'll discuss in a bit. Now here we see a shot of Nate speaking to the representatives of the county of Los Angeles, California. Now remember in episode 2, he told Nas about how difficult it was to get in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'm assuming that's who this is right now that we're seeing in this scene. So we know Nate needs his plans to pass in order to move forward with this development. Now, the question is, will Nate be able to convince or manipulate them to approving his plans for the development, or will Nate be running out of his luck, causing him to come up with another scam to get Nas's money? Now here we see Cassie being picked up by Maddy, who tells her that they need to do something about her look. Now this cuts to nighttime where we see what I'm assuming is Cassie taking photos with Maddy, but you notice a different location here. Now this isn't Cassie and Nate's home, but instead it appears to be Lexi's apartment complex. Now, based on episode 1, it looked like Lexi lived on the first floor, but when we see Cassie taking those photos, that appears to be on the second floor, and then we see this shot here of her coming down the stairs dressed in a cheetah fit, and I'm assuming this is that new look that Maddy was referring to in the scene before. So did Cassie move out and rent an apartment until Nate figures out his money situation, or did she learn from her sister Lexi that an apartment above her is temporarily vacant and Maddy and Cassie are just using that to shoot her photos? Next, we hear Maddy talking to Cassie about an influencer by the name of Brandon, and he's got 20 million followers as they arrive to this party, and the goal is very simple.
Get him to post a video of you working hard.
Now, question is Maddy really helping her with getting a career to take off online, or is this a part of her potentially getting her revenge of what happened to them in high school with the cheating with Nate and Cassie, obviously, and wanting to embarrass Cassie and ruin her career before it even gets started? Now, the looks of disappointment at the wedding from Maddy would suggest the latter, but hey, maybe she can do both. Make money off of Cassie while having her do embarrassing things like try so hard to look hot and to get the attention of influencers by any means necessary as this newly married woman. Now, from the glitz and glam of Hollywood and influencing, we cut back to Ruth at the Silver Slipper. As she's looking at security footage, we get the voiceover of Alamo saying that she's got that look in her eye like a rat. Now, we don't see who he's talking to, but the way it's framed, I would assume that he's talking to Rue, as the very next shot is her looking at Eddie opening up the club safe. Now, back in my breakdown on episode 1 and 2, I had predicted that maybe Rue will become a rat, as it was foreshadowed by us seeing a literal rat crawling underneath the table at Lori's house during their dinner. Now, I had also talked about how I can imagine Rue's going to maybe break into Wayne's safe with the help of Faye, but also her breaking into the club safe as well. Now, the question is, her breaking into the club safe, is that a part of her working with the DEA to get some type of evidence from the safe or planting some type of recorder to get evidence from Alamo at the club? Or is this a part of her own personal plan to rob the safe and get enough money to escape both Alamo and the DEA? As the next shot has Alamo saying he's trying to figure out where it's going next as Bishop slowly looks at Rue. We see Lori has buried her perfect little guy after being poisoned by Bishop. Now we get this shot of her crew of Wayne, Harley, Faye, and the 2 other goons as they come up with a way of getting revenge. Now, I wonder, is Lori wanting them to get back at Alamo, or is this Harley or Wayne doing this on their own? Either way, that takes us back to the club where we see the front door security guard having a gun put in his face, and by the look of it, it looks to be Wayne. This is cut between Patty talking to Lexi and asking if her friend has lost her mind. As we see Jules looking upset as the camera pans out and it looks like she's destroying a painting that she may have made or was maybe already on the set. Now, what exactly would trigger Jules to potentially ruin this opportunity for herself, but also putting Lexi's job at risk because she was obviously the one that brought her in? Did Jules see someone on set? Did someone say something to her to upset her? My guess is maybe this is Jules making some type of creative decision that's going to surprise everyone on set, but they're going to actually like what she's doing, or she could just be upset by something or someone. Now, another thought is, what if Lexi added something to Jules to do on set and she didn't like it? We all know that Lexi likes to change up the script every now and then. So again, did she say something to Jules? Did she write something in this script of her playing this character that Jules just didn't like? We next see the character Magic telling someone, probably Eddie, to not trust that bitch, assuming she's referring to Rue, who we see looking behind the lockers. Now, there's been a countdown from 5 going on since the gun was drawn at the door by Wayne, but here we see him inside the club's office with the gun pointed at Eddie. From here, we get really quick shots of Lexi being upset behind a closed door at work, assuming this is her reaction to whatever Jules did on set. Next, we go back to the club where we have a dancer and the countdown is now at 2 as we cut to Maddy banging on the door, bringing back those memories of season 2 when she was banging on the bathroom door where Nate and Cassie were hooking up. Speaking of Cassie, the next shot is her looking excited and screaming. So did she successfully get that video for her looking hot in front of Brandon? Our last shot has Magic and Rue having a gun pointed at them. Based on Magic's reaction, I think maybe Eddie was shot and possibly killed. Now, of course, she could just be simply upset because there's a gun being pointed at her and also Rue. But speaking of Rue, look at Rue's reaction. I feel like she's looking at someone and I feel like she's maybe upset as well because, again, I believe that Eddie maybe didn't give the code safe in time to Wayne and maybe Wayne shot him. And again, he could be alive or he could kill Eddie because that would be in retaliation. Like you take one of ours, we take one of yours, like a tit for tat situation. So maybe Wayne shoots and kills Eddie and now he's going to expect Rue to know the code to the safe. So look, man, based on everything we just discussed from this trailer, we can maybe expect Rue to cut a deal with the DEA, which would explain why she's not in custody with them in the second half of this trailer. We see Maddy and Cassie on a mission to get her some fame, but did she move out with or near Lexi as Nate takes care of his money problems with Nas? And what will happen with Jules on set? Will it cause issues with her and Lexi's friendship and obviously Lexi's job? And what will happen to Club while being robbed? Will someone get hurt? Will someone get killed? Where's Angel? Like, I read some article that we might not see her for the rest of the season, but I am curious to know if that was the last time we saw her in episode 2. But going back to everything at the club, will Alamo and Bishop come in with reinforcements before anything bad happens? This was a very fun and interesting trailer, and there was a lot of good moments, and I'm really excited to see play out this coming Sunday. Now, I've shared some of my predictions along the way in this breakdown, but depending on you all's engagement with this video, I might make a separate video going over more predictions and theories from you all leading up to this episode. So make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification. That way you don't miss out on any of my Euphoria coverage. Thank you all for listening or watching this trailer breakdown. Please do me a favor, let me know your thoughts, your theories after watching this trailer, and also make sure to check out my breakdown of episode 3, which can be found in the description below, but also on the screen now. Alrighty, y'all, thank you again for watching today's breakdown. Again, let me know your thoughts and theories. Consider liking, sharing, commenting, all that good stuff on YouTube. And also for my podcast listeners, consider following the podcast, subscribing to the podcast, leaving me a review. I would greatly appreciate that. Again, if you all don't see me later in the week with like a separate theory video, you'll see me again on Sunday or Sunday night breaking down episode 4. But in the meantime, you all remember, you all are awesome. Stay safe, and I'll see you again soon.